we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303-LAW-4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Xfinity. Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs may change, kids will grow, new memes will come out, but what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need them the most, that finds and fixes any issue before you even notice them. It's like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices will be working with perfect harmony, and you get our best equipment with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kids grow up and you still don't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and most importantly, the price will stay put. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi, all with Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Never have I ever called my sister from the finish line of my first marathon.
Hello?
You won't believe where I am.
Are you running?
Mile 26. I'm gonna make it.
Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e with its advanced camera system on us. Plus, 2 lines for just $30 a line.
Guys, I can't believe it.
I knew you could do it, babe.
That was amazing. Mom, how do you feel?
I feel great. I can't feel my feet. Let's take a picture, and then you may carry me to the car.
Share every stride, every mile, every memory on America's best network. Switch to T-Mobile's 55 Plus plan and get iPhone 16e on us and 2 lines for just $30 a line.
With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 eligible port-ins on Essentials 55 Plus for well-qualified customers with autopay plus taxes, fees, and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us. Finance agreement 128 gigabytes, $599.99 required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla of Speed Test Intelligence data 1H 2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more. DenverSports.com.
Oh, it is Denver Sports Tonight right here on the ever-powerful Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Anilo Piro in with Just Dante tonight. No Will Peterson. He'll be back sooner rather than later. What's up, Just Dante?
What's up, AP? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It feels like this should be the dead time of sports, and it's been anything but. We had great Olympic hockey on Sunday, and for the last couple weeks prior to that, we get the breaking news today with the Broncos and Sean Payton and Davis Webb. So it's a fun time to be a sports fan when you didn't think it necessarily would be.
Yeah, a lot to unpack on the program tonight. Of course, we'll start with the Denver Broncos. We'll hit some Denver Nuggets conversation and mix in a little Avalanche as well
as both teams back in action tomorrow night. No Nuggets last night and tonight. And Avalanche, of course, returning from the Olympic break. So we want to hear from you on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, if you want to get involved with tonight's program. And, yeah, I agree with you. It's been, about a month or so, give or take, since we've had real meat on the bone with the Denver Broncos. I know we had the Davis Webb announcement that he was going to be the offensive coordinator, right? That seemed to me, I guess hindsight's always 20/20. I was going to say it seemed like a formality. I guess in the moment when we saw him interviewing for other positions, we weren't sure if that was going to be the case. But at the end of the day, the Broncos make the right call, I think, in my opinion, your opinion, all of Broncos country opinion, to come out there and make Davis Webb the offensive coordinator and prevent him from taking a head coaching job. Not to say they might not be in the same position next offseason if things go according to plan under the command of Davis Webb. But let's talk about the real big story, because Davis Webb being offensive coordinator was nice in theory, but the question was, how much control and command of the offense would he have? And today at the NFL Scouting Combine, Sean Payton takes the podium and announces that Davis Webb will indeed be calling plays for the Denver Broncos moving forward this season. Now, Sean will be very much involved in the offensive game plan, as he has been with the defensive game plan. So it's not like Sean Payton is going to give Davis Webb the keys to the car and just watch from the porch and wave and smile as he drives away. Sean Payton will be in the passenger seat. He'll be riding shotgun.
He doesn't have some no-show job anymore.
No.
Where
yeah. Like, Sean Payton is going to be very, very involved, at least in my interpretation of it, in the construction of this offense, different play designs, packages, schemes, all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, it'll come down to Davis Webb on 1st and 10, 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2 to go out there and call the plays. Your initial thoughts here, Dante, with Davis Webb being promoted to play caller?
I like the decision in general. I like that they cut to the chase and there wasn't this long, lingering question throughout the offseason of who's going to be calling plays next year, whose offense is going to be, who's the one that's going to be talking to Bo Nix throughout all this stuff. So I like that they just cut to the chase and was just, hey, it's going to be Davis Webb. He's going to be calling plays next year. And I think it's really important that that message came from Sean Payton. Obviously, Sean Payton, the longtime play caller. I think it's important that he was the one that delivered that message, or through, I guess, Brandon Beane of the Bills, if you want to go back. It was he kind of spilled the beans before that. I like the decision, though, and I think that you're going to get somebody that's a little bit younger, more motivated, a little sharper maybe with what they're going in, or what the message that's going into Bo Nix's helmet on a down-to-down basis. And I think that's really important because they reiterate on the broadcast all the time, but that helmet shuts off at 15 seconds left on the play clock. So you have to be quick. You have to be concise. You have to make a quick decision on what play you're going to call. You have to be able to convey that message very well to your quarterback as well. And I think that Davis Webb is more equipped to do everything I just described over Sean Payton in this moment. I don't think Sean Payton is not an offensive guru anymore, or I don't think that he's not going to be able to help Bo Nix in the meeting rooms throughout the week. I just think that if you want somebody to be able to call the play quicker and just make sure that that message is received by Bo Nix, I think Davis Webb is the better answer there.
And I would also say innovate a little bit, right? Davis Webb is 31 years old to be 32 about a year from now in January. So this is a guy that's obviously a young, up-and-coming mind, but was in the conversation for a number of different head coaching vacancies across the NFL. So his time will probably come if all things go according to plan as a play caller with respect to a head coaching opportunity. And that's not to say that Sean wasn't necessarily innovative. I still think Sean, to your point, Dante, is a strong offensive mind. I think he knows what he's doing. He can still comprehend what he's trying to accomplish and how effective he can be as a play caller. I just think it's time, and we all felt this way, at least I did. I know a lot of the people here at the station did that. Take a step back, be the head coach. Like, Sean Payton doesn't have to prove anything anymore as a play caller. I think he was able to do that given his time in New Orleans and, of course, getting this Denver Broncos team, and in particular the offense, back on track with Bo Nix in his first 2 seasons. Sean has something to prove as a head coach. He doesn't have anything to prove as a play caller, in my opinion.
Where do you come down on Sean Payton's getting paid a lot of money to be the head coach here in the the Broncos? Do you think that if you take play calling away from him, it's like, well, what do you really do here that makes you earn this big paycheck? Do you think those kind of questions will arise, or do you think he's the unquestioned leader? Not that he's not the unquestioned leader of the Broncos, but maybe it's you can ask some questions about, is he really worth the amount of money he's making?
No, because I don't think money's any object to the ownership group. Like, it's not like the money they're paying Sean Payton's counting against the cap, right? It's counting against the owners' wallets, and they've got a lot of it, more than any other owner in the NFL by a wide margin. So I understand sometimes we want to equate dollars and cents to responsibility and pressure and management and all that kind of stuff. Look, there's naturally always going to be pressure on Sean Payton being one of 32 head coaches in the NFL, but when it comes to the amount of money that he's being paid and the draft capital that they needed to give up to get him in the first place, I don't think that plays a major role in this decision. If that makes sense. I think, if anything, if ownership were to have been involved with this decision, I think it was strictly from a football perspective. Strictly a football perspective. Because maybe Greg Penner sits back and says, hey, you and Bo have kind of been button heads, for lack of a better phrase. Like, Bo's obviously very akin to that of Davis Webb. They seem to have a good relationship. Sean, we're paying you to be the head coach. Let's have you be the head coach. And also in the process, keep this kid in Davis Webb, who's only 31 years old, again, in our system with Bo going into year 3, which is arguably the most important year for a young quarterback, and keep this ship steady and try to repeat what we did last season, which is 14 wins and hopefully more success in the playoffs, which of course would equate to a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah, and you talked about repeating that success there. I actually think there's a version of this 2026 Broncos where the win total is similar, but they do it in drastically different ways. I think this offense is going to look a lot better than what we saw last year, and I think it's going to look a lot more consistent than what we saw last year. I think Davis Webb is going to be a big part of that, and I think Bo Nix is going to be in a better place because he has Davis Webb in between plays to call plays for him and being able to have a larger voice in those meeting rooms, being the play caller, being the offensive coordinator now. So I think that Davis Webb, obviously, he was a hot commodity in the offseason. A lot of teams interviewed him for offensive coordinator. A handful of teams interviewed him to be their head coach. So there's something there. And there's no way that all those teams do that just because, oh, Davis Webb, yeah, he was a quarterback a couple years ago. There's something there in his mind that he sees the offense, and it's innovative, and it's different, and he's able to convey this message to other quarterbacks, mainly because he played the position. He was an NFL quarterback. You can't say that about Sean Payton, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Sean Payton, but I think there's just a different level of understanding that Davis Webb will be able to have with Bo Nix that Sean Payton, the head coach, just couldn't have the same understanding of what is going through his eyes. So I like the move a lot, and I'm with you on the paycheck as well. I don't think this ownership group is worried about the price tag on Sean Payton. And it's funny that he's going to be making the same money, very different role he'll have going forward, but the expectations are all still the same for him.
Yeah, I got a good text here from Fred in Jacksonville. Hit us up on the RamboSlaw.com text line 303-713-1043 if you want to get involved with the conversation. Fred says, love that Sean made this move, whether he was nudged by Greg Penner to do it or not. Hopefully, this will improve the order of operations, if not the play calling. Have an actual identity on offense that isn't constant substitutions. And as Mark Schlereth says, calling an offense instead of calling plays. Maybe the starting running back can get 2 carries in a row as well. So good stuff there from Fred. Hit us up on the RamboSlaw.com text line. Here's what Sean Payton had to say with respect to what made Davis Webb the right fit to take over play calling duties.
First off, I think it was something that I kind of knew, during the year. He and I visited on a handful of occasions. We're talking about Davis Webb. He's extremely talented. With regards to play calling, it's something that, I think he'll be really good at it. And I know that's like, man, are you going to give up play calling? And I would only do that if I felt like it would help our team. I'll still be involved with what we do offensively, just like what we do defensively. But I do think he has a gift. I think he's real sharp. I'm glad he's on our staff. Typically, any decision we make like that is to benefit our team. So I'm looking forward to it. I challenged him in the offseason prior to that preseason game. He did a good job. But I think it'll help us, and certainly I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was going to help our team win. You get to a point where you're focused strictly on improving your team any way you can.
Checking the boxes, focused on improving the team any way you can. I wouldn't do this if I didn't think this was the right move for our team, right? So saying all the right things here. We got a text from Ramjet. He says, guys, I don't really care who calls the actual play. I just want the Broncos to identify the other weaknesses and attack that link and keep attacking until they stop it. That's it. I want teams to fear the Broncos. I think that's a great text because I don't think there was really any element of the Broncos offense last year, despite a 14-win season where opposing teams were like, we got to compensate for this. We got to figure this part out, right? It was a Bo Nix game here. It was some nice Cortland Sutton catches there. It was J.K. Dobbins being steady Eddie in the backfield, but there was never an element of fear in this Denver Broncos offense. And just thinking off the top of my head, I mean, obviously you think back to Kansas City in their prime with Mahomes and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill before that. You think back with Tom Brady when he had Edelman and Gronk, right? Like these teams, even the Broncos, the Super Bowl 50 team, you had Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. Like, what is the identity of this Denver Broncos offense? I'm not sure that we found that in the 3 years, in the 3 years that Sean Payton has coached the team, but in the 2 years in particular that Bo Nix has been the quarterback. I think there's been some semblance of consistency. Of course, you don't win 14 games without positivity and consistency on offense. But what is their identity? They're a pass-first team, obviously, but how effective are they at that? I mean, you saw them come from behind game after game after game after game throughout the course of this regular season. So, Dante, I'm excited to see what Davis Webb shapes up this Broncos identity to be.
I'm right there with you. I'm excited to see when he puts his hands on this offense, what exactly it looks like, and if it's similar to what we saw last year, or if it's
I don't think it will be.
You think it'll be so? That's another question that goes into it. You don't think the meetings throughout the week are going to be pretty similar? It's just a different play caller on the weekends that's calling it?
I think it'll be pretty similar, but I think we'll see a lot more Marvin Mims involved. I think we'll have more quote-unquote Marvin Mims games. I think you'll see Troy Franklin be hopefully more effective and consistent. I think Troy has some work to do individually to get to that point.
But do you think they're still airing it out 35 times a game?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to look totally different. Maybe just a couple tweaks here and there. But when you win 14 games, you don't need it to look totally different. You're not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah, but let me say this, too. And we were talking about it, Zach, Phil, Drew, and I don't mean to pour water on what was an incredible season for the Denver Broncos, but, like, conventional wisdom tells you that those one-score games and those come-from-behind victories, that's not a sustainable way to get to 14 wins every single year. You're going to have to start, and I understand I sound like Mike Evans, style points matter, but you're going to have to put your foot down at some point. Like, yes, they beat the Giants. Yes, they beat the Jets, right? The Eagles win, I think, was a great come-from-behind win, so I'll put that in a different category. The Texans without C.J. Stroud, at some point, you have to feel and look like a dominant team. Maybe some of you don't agree with that, but there's a reason why the Broncos were underdogs in a lot of these games. There's a reason why Green Bay came to town. They were 3-point dogs. I understand they won that game, but let's call a spade a spade. Christian Watson and Micah Parsons going out really changed the overall dynamic for Green Bay in that matchup. So again, I'm not throwing cold water on this Broncos season. It was the best year they've had in a long time. 14 wins, AFC Championship game. It's hard to poke holes in that, but what I'm saying now is, off the heels of that season, that now becomes the expectation. Back to the AFC Championship game.
No, absolutely. And I think there's something to that where you see, this is going to be maybe an outdated reference, but you see those Chip Kelly teams at Oregon where they're winning 60-0 in weeks 1, 2, and 3 against these non-conference teams. And I'm not saying the Broncos are going to win 60-0, but you'd like to see this offense pop from time to time and not just have to come from behind like what you were saying there. So I think there is something to style points, particularly against the bad opponents. You get the subs in there in the fourth quarter. Get me more Jarrett Stidham plays throughout the year so there's not the stat that this is the only backup quarterback that hasn't thrown a pass all year. I think that's just egregious, and I think it's mainly because that the Broncos didn't have a position to put Jarrett Stidham in earlier in the games because they never took that commanding lead and put their foot on the gas and were up by 20 in the fourth quarter with a position like that.
I would argue, of the 14 wins the Broncos had last season, there was 4 wins. 4 wins when you felt really good about this team. 4-14, where you're like, okay, we've got it. We're trending in the right direction. Those 4 wins to me would be Cincinnati on Monday Night Football. Blew them out 28-3. 21-17 to come from behind win against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's a big one because they were the reigning defending champions at that time. Blowing out the Dallas Cowboys 44-24. And then the second game against the Las Vegas Raiders where you won pretty handedly. I know it was 24-17. There was that Brandon Jones flag and all that kind of nonsense, but Denver completely dominated that game. I guess I won't include the last game of the year against the Los Angeles Chargers where you won 19-3. The Chargers weren't playing their starters. But outside of that, man, I mean, Green Bay, you were happy, you were excited, but did you feel great about that game? I'm sure
I actually felt pretty good about that.
I felt good about it in the second half, but I also think that Christian Watson going out and Blake and Micah Parsons being injured. Like, what does that game look like if they're still in there?
I think that's fair, but to me, that was actually the most impressive win all year.
Really? I think it was Philly.
Okay, I don't think it's a bad other game, but I would still say the Green Bay game, they looked like a more complete team.
Even for conversation's sake, we're talking 4, 5, maybe 6 wins out of the 14 they had, where you're like, okay, here we go. Buckle up. This team can go win a championship. Because the other games, the New York Jets in London, okay, you won the game in London and got the job done. 13-11. Not exactly an inspiring performance. The Giants, it felt like the sky was falling in that game. You win that one 33-32. You beat Houston without C.J. Stroud 18-15. Okay, cool. Thursday Night Football against the Raiders 10-7. First game against KC 22-19. Washington overtime. If Nick Bonito doesn't tip that ball, that's a touchdown for Marcus Mariota to win the game. So let's make the main thing the main thing. Point is, I think Davis Webb calling plays and providing maybe a new layer to this Broncos offense should hopefully inspire the fan base out there to think like, hey, maybe we don't have to rely on coming from behind. Maybe we can go out there and be more consistent and not run screenplay after screenplay and get a running back 2 touches in a row without substituting in and out. I think what you're looking for across the board from the Broncos is more consistency, and I think Davis Webb will be able to provide that.
I absolutely agree, and I think that it's going to help that his only responsibility is the offense, and it's only calling plays on Sundays. So I think that when you have a head coach that's also the play caller, and let's be honest, an aging person that's doing both of these jobs, I think it makes it a little difficult on them. There's a lot of balls in the air to juggle, and sometimes you want somebody that's just a little younger, a little fresher, and a little more equipped to do those things, and I think Davis Webb can provide all of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here's Sean Payton, because I don't think it was easy. Here's what Sean Payton had to say on if it was difficult to give up play calling.
No. Listen, I'm going to have opinions with plays. Mine will be the bad ones. His will be all the good ones. But I want to support him in that. I can recall being in that situation. Even in Dallas, 2 or 3 years there, I don't know that anyone knew who was calling plays. It was Bill, myself. But I think that stepping back and looking at it, I think he'll do a fantastic job. And
you taking that at face value?
I am. Okay. I don't think Sean Payton's making this move if he didn't have full belief in Davis Webb.
Do you think it was his move to make? Do you think Sean Payton at the end of the season was in Cancun having a latte, sat back with his feet in the pool and said, you know what, let's give this thing to Davis? Or do you think there was influence from, I don't know, Bo Nix, George Payton, Greg Penner?
I think he got nudged in this direction, but it's ultimately Sean Payton's call. If Greg Penner told him you have to give up play calling, I think Sean Payton very easily could have been like, all right, go screw yourself. Good luck without me. Look at what this franchise was before I got here.
Very true.
I think he had all the cards as far as that goes, but it doesn't mean he has 100% say over everything. And I think that he got nudged in this direction. But if he didn't truly believe what he was saying there, he wouldn't have given play calling up. He would have said, fire me. If you don't want the full Sean Payton experience, fire me, and then let's see where you're at.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think it was completely his decision. I think he was maybe recommended, or there were some conversations, rather, about, hey, like, we want to keep Davis in the building for the long term. We can do that by doing this. We want you to be the head coach, all of that kind of stuff. So we shall see. That's Sean Payton there on if it was difficult to give up play calling. I actually think Sean Payton will be better for giving up play calling. Like, let's just play a little devil's advocate here. That critical 4th and 1 play in the AFC Championship game where Denver goes for it. Obviously, they don't get it. That kind of leads to the beginning of the end for them in that game. You think Sean Payton goes for that 4th and 1 play if he's not calling plays? Or do you think Sean Payton in the moment was so in his bag about, here's the play that I drew up in week 7 that I've been waiting for in this moment? Again, this is just hypothetical. But point being, Sean loves his bag of tricks. And in that moment, maybe he's hyper-focused on diving into that bag of tricks as opposed to maybe taking a look at things from a larger point of view.
I hope that wasn't the play that he's been scheming up since week 7, because that was not a very good play if that's what he's been holding on to. But I think that I don't think there's a definitive answer to if he goes for that or not, but I think regardless, he feels better about that moment knowing that he was able to take that step back and that he wasn't just riding the momentum of play calling and riding that into, no, I got this play. Obviously, Sean Payton has a lot of self-belief in what he's able to do, rightfully so. He's been a very successful coach in the NFL, and and play caller in the NFL as well. So I think sometimes that can get in the way of the decision making that is right for the game sequence. And I think that if you have him take a step back, which in, let's say the scenario comes up again, he would have taken that step back. And honestly, at that point, there's a chance that 3 plays before that play even happens, he knows, all right, if it's this distance and 4th down, we're going to go for it. If it's not, we're not going to go for it. I think that you just allow him to be a lot more in the flow of the game and not just the flow of the offense for the Broncos.
Yeah, and, we'll continue along the Davis Webb conversation. We'll hit that throughout the course of the program, but I do want to transition to the Bo Nix dynamic. Not that there was really much of one that played out today, but point being, Sean was in a very good mood to start the press conference, and for a majority of the press conference, right? He was very forthcoming about the Davis Webb stuff, which I personally did not necessarily expect to be the case. I thought maybe he played a little closer to the vest. That's just my opinion. Obviously, that was not the case. But I think the two main objectives, the two things that at least I was looking for, and I'm sure Broncos country was looking for from this press conference today, is play calling. We checked that box. Number 2 is Bo Nix. And obviously that end-of-season media availability and how it played out with Bo talking to the media, calling his own press conference, however you want to frame it, right? Bo clearing the air on what Sean Payton had to say about him being predisposed to ankle injuries. You heard Sean talking about Davis Webb. You heard Sean talking about giving up play calling. Here's Sean Payton on what he meant when he called Bo's ankle predisposed.
I'm not going to get into the injury. What I meant predisposed is there was a slight he's not, and there weren't multiple. So I have a problem, and Mike, I apologize. I have a problem when someone's quoting me to him on a conference call and they're inaccurate, and they're one of our locals that shouldn't be. All right, next question.
That is a complete 180, at least from an attitude perspective, from Sean Payton on that question versus Davis Webb and calling plays. Mike Kliss catching strays. Mike's a great guy. He's been in this market for a long, long time. Nothing but a professional. Has always been good to me and my interactions with him as well. I don't really know what to make of that fully, right? Because there's part of me that's like, Sean is clearly ticked off. Whether Mike did something right or wrong rather in this case, I don't think he did anyway. I don't understand why he has to point the finger literally and figuratively at Mike Kliss, because Mike was just simply doing his job, Dante.
I agree with that, but we already got Sean Payton conceding play calling. I don't think we're going to get two concessions in the same
day. But it's just like, come on, man. It's Mike Kliss. Like, this guy's been in the market for God knows how long.
No, and I get that.
He's a pro's pro.
He's also around the organization a lot,
right.
And I think that the more you see somebody, maybe there's a chance that the more you get annoyed with somebody if you have to see him that frequently. And I'm not saying that's the right point of view for Sean Payton to have. I love Mike Kliss. I've talked to him every day on the phone, not every day, every week on the phone before he comes on the drive. I've run into him at Broncos training camp before, had great conversations with him. A very pleasant and likable guy. Yes. But there is some level of Mike Kliss's job is not necessarily, I'm sure, a job that Sean Payton likes that exists in general. And it's not specific to Mike Kliss, but I'm sure he just hates that job is a job that exists in the market and in media. I'm sure he'd much rather not have that person, not him specifically exist, but that role that has to cover the team and ask questions like that.
Sean Payton put himself in this position.
He did, but
it's not like it was reported and sourced. Like, Sean Payton came out, at the end of the season and said this stuff. You got to have some accountability towards it, no? And not just point the finger, misconstrued this, misquoted that. Like, just own it. If he just owned it, we'd stop talking about it.
I think that's fair. I think he should have owned it, but again, you're already asking him to hand over play calling.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that
the ego can only take so much.
Exactly. I think if you're doing all of that in the same day, it might be a lot for Sean Payton.
And I think Sean Payton's a good guy, man. I'm not just trying to take shots at Sean.
I love Sean Payton.
Yeah,
I think he's a great head football coach.
I think he's a good coach. I think the decision to relinquish play calling is the right move. I just think we could handle this Bo Nix situation with a little bit more grace. That's kind of where I'm at. And I don't like seeing fellow media members catch strays for doing their job.
No, I think that's
where I'm
fair.
at.
I think that's a very fair point of view to have, but you also have the point of view from the media. Imagine if you were in that organization, you're like, "Well, this Mike guy keeps poking around about stuff that we don't really want to talk about."
I would just
I'm sure you'd get annoyed of it.
But why not just troll him the way he trolls Luka? Why does Mike get the short end of the stick? It is what it is. So the news of the day: Sean Payton relinquishing play calling to offensive coordinator Davis Webb. And he does not really want to talk about the Bo Nix injury situation in the press conference that came after he was injured. So let us know your thoughts on the RamosLaw.com text line 303-713-1043. The rest of the shows tomorrow will have you fully engaged and in full breakdowns of everything else that Sean and George Payton had to say at the podium today at the Combine. Okay, let's hit a break. When we come back, I got to do this. I got to do it because I love talking Broncos. I do. It's February. There's two teams in particular right now that have realistic chances to go out there and win a championship. We'll hit Avs at the end of the show. But when we come back, let's talk a little Denver Nuggets basketball because there is something wrong with this team. And I will tell you how I feel and maybe try to help you rationalize what's been going on the hardwood. That's next.
Will the Avalanche stars experience an Olympic hangover after an emotional gold medal game?
Just to think you go 2 weeks like that and you battle the way they battled and you lost the way that they lost a game that you were better. How do you just get over it that quick? I don't know, man. I am concerned about a hangover here from some of these guys, especially the Canadians.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
So, you're ready to propose, huh?
Yeah, man. She's definitely the one.
What are we thinking about the ring? I got my wife's at Hellsberg. I couldn't recommend a better jeweler.
I could use some help with that.
Man, go to Hellsberg. I had no idea how many details you need to consider. Did you know you can get a natural or lab-grown diamond? I didn't. Figure out what she wants. Trust me, they'll make it happen.
Start your story with Hellsberg. Shop in store or at hellsberg.com.
For many of us, it's happened before. Your hair is thinning, crowns disappearing. Maybe the hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. The solution that worked for me, it's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment that starts growing your own natural hair the very next day. And it's guaranteed to grow for life. It's the Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if you want your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Paul's, it's not maybe your hair will regrow, it's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Sex, intimacy, love. These three things are critical to a good relationship, and that's the problem with erectile dysfunction. It often destroys sexual enjoyment and intimacy. It stresses the love between partners, often to the breaking point. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with ED, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. But I also want you to know that ED doesn't have to impact your relationship anymore. At the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, we're ED experts with our focus on men's sexual health. We've treated tens of thousands of men and have treatments that are effective in well over 90% of cases. I promise you, if you're like most guys, you can get your sex life back, perhaps even performing like you haven't in years. So if ED is affecting you, it's time to get back to better sex, better intimacy, and deeper love. Call us. Just $99 gets you blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code LAUGH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code LAUGH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer.
This February, save 25% off all primetime functional trainers, home gyms, and racks. Work out on your schedule on the equipment you choose from the safety and comfort of your own home. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
Welcome on back into the program. Anilo Piro, Dante Gomez, right here on Denver Sports Tonight. Hope everyone is doing well out there in and around the Mile High City. Good conversation to open up the program on Davis Webb being promoted to play caller, Sean Payton dynamics, all that good stuff. Feel free to chime in and share your thoughts on the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043. Let's move it over to the hardwood here real quick. With the Denver Nuggets, man, I find myself somewhere in between let's not overreact to bad stretches of basketball in February and something might just be wrong with this team. And the third layer of that as well, they're hurt. No Aaron Gordon, who is a major factor, a major power player for this Nuggets team. No Peyton Watson, Cam Johnson still trying to get back into the groove. I don't really know if he's ever really been in a groove with this team, if I'm just calling a spade a spade. And so I'm trying to rationalize it, right? Because they beat Portland 157-103, so a 50-plus point victory for Denver last Friday. You'd feel good about that on this little 3-game road trip out of the All-Star break. The 50-plus point win against a scrappy Portland team is far from the main story. The main story is blowing another clutch game to the Los Angeles Clippers, who are without James Harden now, 115-114. Jamal Murray missing key free throws at the end of that one. And losing to the Golden State Warriors without Jimmy Butler, without Draymond Green, and without Steph Curry, 128-117, and just another complete and utter collapse from this Denver Nuggets team. I don't know how else to phrase it outside of I think I'm genuinely starting to be concerned. Again, I start this point out by saying I don't want to overreact to bad losses in February. It ain't February 1st. It's February 24th. March is essentially here. And I saw David Adelman today at Nuggets practice talking about how we hope to have the full squad back for 20 games left in the regular season. Do we even think that's going to happen? I mean, who's to say Aaron Gordon doesn't come back? And look, knock on wood, Aaron Gordon needs to be healthy for this team to go out there and win a championship. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But this hamstring thing is now going on year 2 of a recurring issue. And what's more concerning to me besides the injuries, Denver now at 36-22. They're 14-15 in clutch game scenarios. What has arguably been the biggest strength of the Denver Nuggets, the Nikola Jokic era, that Jokic-Murray two-man game and closing teams out 5 minutes to play, 4 minutes to play, final seconds of the game. That has not been the case this year. Again, 14-15. In crunch time. Their record in 5-point games is 10-11.
cause for concern, Dante?
Absolutely. And you talk about how we're getting into February now, and it's time to start picking it up. The West, I don't know if you looked at the standings. The 3 seed through the 6 seed? It's basically everyone has the same record at that point. So this is going to matter. You don't want to sneak in as the 6 seed or the 5 seed and have to go on the road to start the first round. Then we're talking about a potential first round upset or exit for the Nuggets. So I think it's important that they finish with that 3 seed going into the playoffs, and it's absolutely cause for concern. And to me, the clutch aspect of it isn't as concerning as just the defensive end. This Nuggets team struggles on the defensive end, especially when you take out Aaron Gordon, especially when you take out Payton Watson. And if you're relying on both of those guys to completely transform this defense in the come playoff time, I think that's a mistake, because those are guys that have dealt with injuries this year. And typically, if you're going to get asked to do that much coming back from an injury, there's no 100% guarantee these guys aren't going to get re-injured. You mentioned it. We've seen Aaron Gordon deal with soft tissue injuries. I'll just kind of combine them all here for the last 2 years here. So it's very hard for me to have 100% confidence that Aaron Gordon's going to come back and be Superman the second he steps back on the court and be able to be Superman for an entire playoff run. So I think defensively, it's just not good enough. And I think that's on everybody. It's not solely on one guy.
Yeah, last week I sat in this very chair and I did 2 shows with our guy Cecil Lammy, and I said the vibes are off, and I was essentially laughed at, figuratively. Like, I think he was obviously taking the take serious, but I think there's this overwhelming thought that it'll all be okay with the Denver Nuggets. And I think it could all be okay. I'm just at the point now where I'm really starting to worry. And you know what else I'm worried about? And I know he was an all-star for the first time. How are Jamal Murray's legs going to hold up the rest of this regular season and going into the playoffs after he literally carried that team without Nikola Jokic for a pretty significant stretch of games?
And do you know what's funny about what you just said, to me at least? I think you could very fairly argue Jamal Murray was the biggest question mark of this team for the last 5 years.
Yes.
And this is the first year where I think I feel most confident in Jamal Murray compared to the other aspects of this team. So it's one of those where you can't afford for Jamal Murray to go wrong in the playoffs. You need to make sure he has a good series along with everybody else here. You're not leaving yourself a lot of room for error the way they've been playing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And look, I think they'll be okay, but what we've seen the last few games, even leading into the All-Star break, is concerning. I mean, let's go back even a little bit further. That loss to Oklahoma City was disgusting. Detroit, bad loss, 124-121. The Knicks in double OT, frankly, that game had no business going to double OT. Denver was lucky. I mean, what was it? Mikal Bridges there at the end of the game with a foul that forced free throws for Christian Brown that ultimately pushed the game to overtime. You lose to Cleveland in bad fashion. I mean, your wins in this stretch are Chicago, who have about 11 different guards on their team. You beat them 136-120. And you beat Memphis, who's in disarray, 122-116. And then, of course, Portland, 157-103. But that was the natural bounce-back spot for this team, too. After an embarrassing loss to the Clippers, you expected them to come out. I'm not saying you predict a 50-plus point victory.
But that's a team you should be able to
100%
out-talent when you go out there.
Right? And then the Golden State game is still really sticking with me because of how David Adelman came out and said after the game that the Warriors not having Draymond Green out there kind of threw him for a whirl. You need to pounce on that. And you know what else drove me crazy about that game? And this has been a theme with them the last month and a half, 2 months, really since Aaron Gordon went down the first time. They enter into these games lackadaisical. They believe they could just play it out and flip a switch in the fourth quarter and win games. And sure, they've been able to do that in the past, but you let the Golden State Warriors and other teams come out and beat you to the punch. So it is what it is. The schedule, the next 3 games, pretty interesting here for Denver. Tomorrow night at home against the Boston Celtics. Then they'll be on the road to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, followed by a home game on Sunday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that's an interesting 3-game stretch.
Quick, under that, is there anything you'd be looking out for during those 3 games that could really maybe point in the other direction from what you've been seeing lately?
Yeah, clamp down on defense and beat a team to the punch. Which I'm sure they will, because Denver loves to play up and down to the level of their competition.
Well, wasn't that the issue with Michael Malone as the head coach, too, that these guys didn't really come out with any urgency?
You're right. And to your point about the defense, that was a major issue under Malone. I don't know what it is, because clearly it's not David Adelman. He can't fix it. There is a lack of defensive identity with this team. There's a lack of desire to defend consistently with this team, and we've seen them take it up a notch in the fourth quarter. But to your point, the 3 and 6 seeds are essentially all jumbled up right now. Look, I don't think Denver's falling to the play-in. I think they'll be all right. Let's get this out of the system now. But the joy that we saw from Denver in the first 10-game stretch of the season, where they won a gazillion games in a row, Sacramento, Miami, Golden State, Indiana, Sacramento again, the Clippers, Minnesota, that is like so far gone. And I understand injuries have played a large role in that, but I think just banking on Watson and Gordon coming back to fix all of this is living on a prayer to a certain extent. And look, Aaron Gordon will fix a lot of these problems, but how reliable will Aaron Gordon be? Cam Johnson has not been good. Let's just come out and say it. Jokic has been fine, but the turnovers are driving us crazy. Jamal Murray had to put the team on his back. How much more can he do? These are all questions that I'm just asking. I still believe in this Denver Nuggets team. I'm not going to come out here and say, sound the alarms. I think they can still win a championship, but they've got to get this stuff cleaned up sooner rather than later. Let us know your thoughts, 303-713-1043 on the RamosLaw.com text line. Let's hit a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Little Avalanche news as they made a trade today. They'll also be back from the Olympic break. And Dante and I might get into a little Olympic conversation. I know it's a Tuesday, but this is my first time to talk about that gold medal game. I think Dante and I had a really good conversation last Thursday about the game that I think played out pretty nicely. So we'll do some Avs, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Final segment of the show. Back in a few.
The champ! Are you ready? Do you consider yourself a super fan? Well, now's your chance to prove it. It's Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan Super Fan Send-Off, presented by 303 Law 4040, sending you to Las Vegas for the biggest pro wrestling event in the world. A pair of 2-night event tickets, airfare, and hotel all included, plus a $500 Visa card. So get in the ring and enter now at DenverSports.com/superfan. That's DenverSports.com/superfan.
Hey guys, your boy Steve here today by my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-900-4433, 720-900-4433. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. Want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text ROAD to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text ROAD to 323232 right now. Text ROAD to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's ROAD to 323232. Text ROAD to 323232 now.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Still haven't filed your taxes? Hey, you're not the only one. A lot of good people fall behind. But here's the thing. The longer you wait, the harder the IRS can hit back. Penalties stack up. Interest piles on. The letters get more aggressive. None of it magically disappears. It's why I always tell folks, call my friends at Advanced Tax Solutions. These are not generalists. They don't dabble in tax problems. They live in this world. Resolving IRS issues is all they do. Maybe you're 1 year behind. Maybe you're 10. Maybe you've got unfiled returns, wage garnishments, bank levies, or you're just losing sleep wondering what the IRS is going to do next. Their licensed tax professionals can step in fast, talk to the IRS for you, stop the stress, and start putting a real plan in place. And listen, waiting never makes it better. Every day you delay is another day the IRS gets to tighten the screws. One quick call to Advanced Tax Solutions, that could be the start of a quick resolution. So take control of your tax situation before the IRS does. Reach out to Advanced Tax Solutions today and breathe again.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040 and Jacobs Law with another cool story to share. James called 303 Law 4040, and he's like a lot of our clients, not looking to get rich, but he just didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of medical bills. So we met with James like we do all of our 303 Law 4040 clients in person, and it's a good thing we did because we noticed James did not look so good. We sent him to the hospital to get checked out, and they did wind up admitting him. In the end, we got him feeling better and $125,000. He was over the moon. He came into the office to pick up his check and rang that victory bell. And the really cool part is James surprised us with a check of his own, a donation so we could keep the best free meal in Denver coming each and every first and third Thursday. If you've been injured, you may be like James, not looking to get rich, but not sure what to do. That's why we're here to help. Just give us a call at 303-LAW-4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. That's 303-LAW-4040.
Follow us on X at DEN Sports 1043 for up-to-the-minute information and opinions on all things Denver sports. Also, we can still call it Twitter, right? Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 1043 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, final segment of the show here. Anilo Piro, Dante Gomez hanging out with you. I hope everyone is doing well out there in and around the Mile High City. A little puck talk here. The Avalanche making themselves a trade here. Of course, they're back on the ice. Let me confirm. I believe it is tomorrow. It might be Thursday. I thought today was Monday. You know, there's a lot of... I'm also going on vacation at the end of the week, so my head's kind of in a different headspace right now. Yep, tomorrow against the Utah Mammoth, they'll be on the road, so the Avalanche are back. And the news of the day with them is they have finally, it seems like they've been trying to trade this guy for 3 or 4 years now, finally flip Sam Girard, most importantly his contract. They trade him to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for a veteran defenseman, Brett Kulak. And Brett Kulak is a guy who has played in a number of different Stanley Cups, I believe 3 total, 2 with Edmonton and 1 as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. And what you love in this trade for the Avalanche, it's kind of a two-headed monster, right? Let's start with Kulak himself. I love the addition of a big-body defenseman. That was one of the knocks on Sammy G. He's maybe a bit of a smaller guy, this and that, can't play as physically as he might need to because of his size in the playoffs. Kulak is the opposite of that. 6'1", 192 pounds. He has 98 career playoff games, and he led all NHL defensemen since making his postseason debut in 2020, and he ranks second among all skaters in that span, behind only Corey Perry, who has 119 playoff games. As I mentioned, he reached the Stanley Cup final with Montreal in 2021, and then in back-to-back seasons with the Edmonton Oilers. So you're getting a guy that's battle-tested, has played in big-time hockey. I understand he hasn't won a Stanley Cup with the 3 times that he's been previously, but he's played in 98 playoff games. I mean, just think of that. That is a lot of hockey. That's more than a full season, regular season worth of hockey just in the playoffs alone. So you're getting that size, you're getting that depth, and you're getting a guy who's battle-tested in the biggest moments. And the other side of this is you're saving money by doing it. Now, Colorado did have to attach a second-round pick going out to Pittsburgh, but you're getting a player back in Kulak who has all those attributes that I just mentioned to you at half the price. I believe he's making $2.7 million a year, Sammy G upwards of $5 million. So not only are you saving money, you have some more flexibility to add around the edges throughout the course, as the trade deadline continues to build up, but you're also getting a guy who fits the win-now mentality of this team, Dante.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think everything you just stated is spot on, and it's a win for the Avalanche in many different scenarios. One, you get the cap flexibility moving forward, and especially I believe this guy's a free agent at the end of the year, so it could be somewhat looked at like a salary dump if you don't end up re-signing him to come back. But regardless, you're getting out of the Girard contract and you're getting an experienced guy. So if anything, you should have a slightly better defense or a blue line there than what you had a week ago. So I think it's a win on the ice, and I think it's a win in the spreadsheets as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kulak has registered 134 points in 636 regular season games with the Penguins. With Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Montreal, and Calgary. Those are the 4 teams he's played with. The Avalanche will now be his 5th. And I think a good thing here for the Avalanche, he hasn't been all that good for Pittsburgh this season, but he's coming off a career year in 24-25. Career high in goals 7, assists 18 last season with the Edmonton Oilers. So I know those numbers aren't jumping off the page here. This is not a game-changing Stanley Cup or bust type of move necessarily, right? It's not like you're trading for a star player, but what you're doing is adding a lot of depth. I would equate it to kind of like when Denver traded the Nuggets, that is, for Reggie Jackson in the year in which they won the NBA Finals. You got some depth at the point guard position, a guy that can hold down the offense when you need to, right? This is a really good around the edges type of move for the Avalanche. And you also, I think most importantly, maybe not most importantly, but as important, is you get off that Sammy G contract.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's not a difference in terms of the Stanley Cup. This doesn't change the Avalanche's odds of winning a Stanley Cup or anything like that, but they're already the number 1 team in hockey. They didn't need to blow up the roster and rearrange everything. I think this kind of trade is perfect for what they needed. Just smooth out the edges a little bit. Make sure that this team's ready to go compete for a cup. You need to reinvent the wheel here. Just go out there and make sure you put your best foot forward, and they should be the favorites to go out and win it all regardless of this trade. I think this just helps them.
Yeah, I'm with you. The next 3 games here for the Avalanche, they're back in action tomorrow night, 7 p.m. puck drop in Utah, taking on the Mammoth. And then a couple, one interesting game. Thursday evening, 7 p.m. back at home against the Minnesota Wild, and then the Chicago Blackhawks in town on Saturday at home at Ball Arena. So they start out on the road, then back-to-back home games before hitting the road on Monday to take on the Sacramento Kings. So go Avs, go. We'll see what they could do. I'm excited for them down the stretch of this season. Speaking of the Avs, kind of transition to Team Canada, Team USA. I know that happened on Sunday morning. What a bleeping game, dude. I was dialed in that third period, and I bring that up because you and I had a pretty spirited conversation, and the texters got involved last week as well about who you're rooting for. Are you rooting for Team USA, or do you have a soft spot for Team Canada because they have McKinnon, Taves, and Makar? I can answer that question now in hindsight. I was rooting for USA with all of my heart. I felt disgusted to a certain extent when I saw Nathan McKinnon miss that open net. When Nathan McKinnon had the opportunity to put the game away with the open net. I was actively rooting for probably the first time in my life, maybe even the 4 Nations, against McKinnon, Makar, Taves. It was a very strange feeling, but I was very much rooting against them.
I think that's fair, and I didn't really know how I was going to feel going into it, and I think it all came to fruition, kind of what you were talking about there, that I found myself just rooting for Team USA at the end of the day, and I wanted a good hockey game first and foremost. I think that would have been my dream. I didn't want it to be 5-0 USA. I wanted to be entertained throughout the game, and we definitely got that aspect of it. I hated the 3-on-3 finish. I thought that was not the way you want to finish
I would agree
a gold medal game. But either way, I found myself rooting for Team USA, and it's not that I was upset when McKinnon missed the shot or Makar made a mistake or Taves almost had his goal there, but I definitely was a little relieved when they didn't make those plays. But I'm sorry, not that I wasn't upset. It's not that I was excited. Yeah, so I wasn't. I'd say I was excited when those happened, but I wasn't. I was okay with them happening.
Shout out the USA, the red, white, and blue. And here's a message to John Cooper as we sign off, because I agree with you. I don't like the 3-on-3 overtime. The reality of the situation is that's what it is. Please do not complain when your 3 players are Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Connor McDavid. Please.
It's not hockey,
the 3 best players in the sport. I understand it's the logistics of it. Win the game with the 3 best players out there.
It's not hockey, 5-on-5.
Yeah, I understand. But I don't think you have room to complain given the situation with the players you had. Shout out the USA. Great game. Love the Olympics. That is it for us tonight on DST. Dante Gomez, great job. We'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the shows tomorrow, folks.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience.